Hey guys, and welcome to another edition of my bookshelf tour. I hope you enjoy this one. The first books I'll be showing is the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan, and these are the first two books, The Lightning Thief and Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. And if you do not know what the Percy Jackson series is about, it is a middle grade series that is about a boy named Percy Jackson who finds out that he is the son of Poseidon. And the whole series deals a lot with Greek mythology, and it's just really fun and cute. The next series is also by Rick Riordan, and it is the Kane Chronicles. There is The Red Pyramid, The Throne of Fire, and The Serpent's Shadow. And these are also middle grade, and it's about a sibling brother and sister by the name of Sadie and Carter, and this series deals a lot with Egyptian mythology. And I've only read book 1 so far, and I'm excited to get to the final 2 books. Battle Royale by Kushin Takami, and this takes place in Japan, I believe, and it's about some kids who have to fight to the death. And I've seen a lot of really good reviews of this on BookTube, so I'm pretty excited to read this in the future. This book may look familiar if you watched my gift wrapping video a couple weeks ago. I got this for my sister for Christmas. It is called The Wolf Princess, and it just sounds really cute. It has something to do with Russia and some wolves and some princesses. It just sounds like a really cute book. These next books are a duology by Alison Goodman, and the first is Eon, and the second is Iona. And they have something to do with dragons, I believe. This next book is by Tim Burton, and yes, the movie director Tim Burton. It is called The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy and Other Stories. And this is just a little whimsical book full of funny, odd illustrations, very Tim Burton-ish. And it's a very quick read. I think it just took me like a couple hours to get through, if even that. Zoo by James Patterson and Michael Ledwidge. This is a thriller about animals basically going wild, and there's something wrong with all the animals in the entire world, and the protagonist Oz has to find some sort of cure for all the crazy animals. And I really did not like this book that much. My first James Patterson experience, and it wasn't that exciting for me. The story itself I really enjoyed, and it had a great premise to it, but it was just the writing that was kind of irritating. World War Z by Max Brooks, and this is a book about the zombie apocalypse, or post-zombie apocalypse, and this guy's going around the entire world collecting these narratives from the survivors of the apocalypse. And it's really, really good. This is the Ghost Girl series by Tanya Hurley. First is Ghost Girl, then Homecoming, and then Lovesick. And I don't really know too much about what these books are about. I just know it's about a girl. I guess she's in high school or something, and she's dead. And I've just been interested in reading these because the shape of the book, for one thing, is interesting. It's an oblong book rather than the traditional kind of frame of a book. And it's just kind of girly and pretty inside. The next set of books are by William Joyce, and they are from the Guardians series. The first book is Nicholas St. North and the Battle of the Nightmare King. Book 2 is E. Aster Bunnymund and the Warrior Eggs at the Earth's Core. Book 3 is Toothiana, Queen of the Tooth Fairy Armies. And the most recent book to come out in the series is The Sandman and the War of Dreams. And I have not read this fourth one just yet. And the fifth one should be coming out sometime soon. That one's going to be about Jack Frost, if I'm not mistaken. And these books are retellings of classical mythological characters like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and obviously the Sandman here. This next set of books is the Death Note manga series by Tsugumi Oba. This series is about a boy named Light, and he finds this Death Note, and a Death Note basically gives the owner the power to kill anyone at will. And it's all very interesting and fascinating, and it kind of makes you question this whole thing of, if I was given such a book, would I use it for personal gain and use to kill my own enemies, or to kill just criminals in general. I have not read this manga series yet. I have seen the animated series, the anime, and I've seen the 2 live action movies for it, and I really enjoy this. I love them so much. So I'm excited to read the actual manga and experience the story in that manner. The whole premise is just very interesting. It's very dark and atmospheric and just a very serious subject. I really love all these covers. They're really cool. The next books are part of the Inheritance cycle by Christopher Paolini. First is Aragon, then Eldest, Brissinger, and Inheritance. And these books are a fantasy series about a boy named Aragon who finds a blue dragon egg, and he finds out he's a dragon rider, and he goes through a lot of adventures and meets dwarves and elves, and it's very much like Lord of the Rings in some ways. Next, I have the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. First is The Sorcerer's Stone, The Chamber of Secrets, The Prisoner of Azkaban, The Goblet of Fire, The Order of the Phoenix, The Half-Blood Prince, and The Deathly Hallows. And I think everyone knows exactly what the Harry Potter series is. If you have not read it, read it. It's about a boy named Harry Potter who's living with his horrible aunt and uncle and his cousin. And one day he finds out he's a wizard, and he goes to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. And he makes lots of friends as well as enemies. And this is one of my all-time favorite series. And I could read it every single year if I could. And I have the companion piece to the Harry Potter series, also by J.K. Rowling, The Tales of Beedle the Bard. And this is the book that Hermione receives from Dumbledore in the Deathly Hallows. And it's just basically a bunch of like fairy tale stories for little witches and wizards. This next series is a fantasy series by Terry Goodkind called the Sword of Truth series. The first book is Wizard's First Rule, Stone of Tears, Blood of the Fold, Temple of the Winds, Soul of the Fire, Faith of the Fallen, and Temple of the Winds is probably my favorite in the entire series. The Pillars of Creation, Naked Empire, Chainfire, Phantom, and the final book is Confessor. And like I said, this is a fantasy series, very much like Game of Thrones in some ways, high fantasy, about a guy named Richard Rahl who finds out he has magical abilities, and he meets a girl named Kaylin and a wizard named Zed, and he goes on all sorts of adventures. And I really love this series. It may not be for everyone because the fantasy, it's pretty deep fantasy, and the series can get pretty hard to follow and difficult, and it has like some really deep messages in it that might not be for everybody. And then I have a small novella that goes prior to the whole series that follows the wizard Zed, and it is called Debt of Bones. Next, I have a graphic novel series that takes place in the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and this series is called The Search. And I love the animated cartoon that aired on Nickelodeon, and this is basically a continuation of the end of what happened at the end of Season 3, and it's about Zuko wanting to find his mother who's been missing for many years. So if you've always wanted to know what happened to Zuko's mother, this is the series for you. Next, I have another graphic novel by Alan Moore with illustrations by David Lloyd called V for Vendetta. And this is a story that takes place in a future dystopian United Kingdom that's under kind of like a tyrannical rule. And there's this revolutionary named V who wants to change how the society is. And this series has a lot of deep themes to it. It deals a lot with racism and politics and homophobia, among many other things. This next one is a graphic novel by Robert Kirkman called The Walking Dead, and I have Compendiums 1 and 2. I read the entirety of Compendium 1, which was issues 1 through 48, and I'm not sure what Compendium 2 goes to, but I'm really excited to get to Compendium 2 in the future, so I can see where the series is continuing to. This is a story about a zombie apocalypse and everyone having to survive in this environment. And the big thing about this series, it's not so much the zombies that are the villains, but that it's humanity itself that are their own worst enemies. Also, as part of The Walking Dead, this is a book called The Walking Dead, The Fall of the Governor, and this is actually book 3, part 1. We just found this as a hardback, so I'd like to try to get the other parts as a hardback. And like the title suggests, this whole series is about the governor. I don't play too many video games, but I absolutely love the Resident Evil series. These are book versions of the games. First is 0 Hour, which is based off of Resident Evil 0. Then there is The Umbrella Conspiracy, which is based off of the very first Resident Evil game. Then there's Caliban Cove, which is actually a original story. Kind of almost like it's Resident Evil fanfiction in some ways. And then there is City of the Dead, and that is a novelization of Resident Evil Game 2. Then there is Underworld, and this is also an original Resident Evil story that has nothing to do with the games. And then there's Nemesis, which is a novelization of the third game. And then Code Veronica, which is a novelization of the Code Veronica game as well. And Code Veronica is one of my favorites in the series. And the series actually stops right there at Code Veronica. It does not continue, which is a shame, because I would have loved to have seen novelizations of games 4, 5, and 6. I also have novelizations of the Resident Evil movies, if you cannot tell from the covers. I really love the movies as well. And I'm not someone who typically even enjoys horror / scary movies, but I really enjoy these for some stupid reason. First one is Genesis, then Apocalypse, Extinction, and then Retribution. So that's it for this bookshelf tour. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!